Guys, are you guys ready for MC and speaker? Because we're going to start admitting people to the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, I'm on standby. I'm ready.
Okay, how about Czechia?
Yep, ready.
Okay, okay, okay. Then I'll start admitting people, yeah?
Ah!
Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to a very special UCIC Talk today. It's Prism's last talk show titled Debunking Misconceptions About Studying Abroad. I'm sure all of you are curious. What are some ideas you might have about international study that are wrong? Well, our speakers are here to answer that today. I'm Matrix, and I'll be your MC this evening. Before we start today's show, I'd like to remind all of you to rename yourselves according to the format name underscore nim underscore major. Don't forget to open your camera for the best experience. If you have any queries, remember that we'll be hosting a Q&A session at the end of this talk. So please save them and look forward to it. Now, before we get to our material, I'd like to introduce our speakers. Guess what? They're both ISMA awardees. So please welcome Keisha Kevina Hagmoko and Gabriella Connie Cecilia. Today, they'll be guiding all of you through their experience overseas, the mistakes they made, the ups and the downs, and hopefully all of you can gather insights that you can use on your international journey. So, without further ado for the material, Keisha, the stage is yours.
Hello, my name is Kate, and I'm today with also Gabriele Coney. So we are both as an ISMA awardee, and I got accepted to University of Auckland, New Zealand last year. So maybe Gabby can also introduce yourself.
Okay, thanks, Keisha. Hi, everyone. I'm Gabriela Koni. You can call me Gabby. I'm from BMI, batch 2021. And by the grace of God, I got accepted as an ISMA awardee 2024 to National Taiwan University of Science and Technology in Taipei, Taiwan.
Okay, maybe we should talk about how our journey initially started at our own host universities. Gabby, how about that? So maybe we can talk about the reasons we choose the host universities and our journey to get as an ISMA awardee.
Okay, first thing first, why did I choose Taiwan? Honestly, I chose Taiwan as my second option because in ISMA you will be given three options to choose from the universities across the globe, and I chose Taiwan obviously because of the Chinese, because I want to improve my Chinese more, and because National Taiwan University of Science and Technology, even though it's a very long name, but it's one of the most prestigious university in Taiwan, and it also provides the majors that still relates to my to the majors that I took in my home university, which is the IBMIC, and yeah, I also why did I choose Taiwan? Because obviously, because I like to travel, and of course for the food, because from what I see from Taiwan does offer a lot of diversity and a lot of good places to travel, and their street food especially. What about you, Kina?
Okay, so I went to University of Auckland. So University of Auckland, as for the QS ranking, is the first ranked university in New Zealand. So maybe you can say it's like some kind of the UE of the New Zealand. And I chose University of Auckland because all of my courses that I want to learn, especially about social justice and journalism, are there. So I chose University of Auckland as my first choice. And I'm really glad that I accepted to University of Auckland because I can learn things that I really interested to learn, and also not to mention New Zealand is a really beautiful country, and I think every uh I think every matters or something you can meet, look, you can visit like a garden or something. So it's a really beautiful country to live and to learn. So I think that's why I choose University of Auckland as my ISMA host university. Okay, so probably we're gonna go on into the how study abroad impact our life as a person and also as students. How about that, Gabby?
Yeah, especially of course, studying abroad will impact our lives as students because studying in a very totally different environment and culture. For me personally in Taiwan, uh, the most impact that I feel like impact me personally is that it has had a huge impact on my mindset because as Indonesians, to be honest, we often feel like we're a step behind compared to other international students, right? Yeah, that's what I feel personally. But the thing is, when I studied in Taiwan for 4 months, that's not true at all, guys, because believe me that we can compete with the other international universities, university students. And after interacting with them, I realized that we Indonesians can compete, especially in terms of social skills, because trust me, about 95% of the time, it was Indonesian students who made the first move to introduce themselves, to build connections with the foreigners and with the locals, especially if you, from my experience, I face many Taiwanese become like most of them are distant at first. So most of the time, we Indonesians must make the first. So that's why it impacted my mindset that I realized that we Indonesians can compete with them. What about you, Kina?
I totally agree on the point that Indonesians are really friendly because like, we're known as the people, well, we usually get called as the ramah people, right? The really friendly people. And I think it also applies in international context. So yeah, right. We mostly approach people first and we don't really think about it because it's just I think it's in our blood or something and we just get to people easily and we can just make friends easily. And I think that's what international friends or international students appreciate about us too. And I also agree about the development. I think because we come from the development, still a developing country, we still think or we still doubt ourselves about how can we compete with the other international students or things like that. But yes, I agree that we can also compete with the international students from all around the world, and also it also impacted my mindset about my own um capacity and also our education capacity in Indonesia. I think, yeah, it's really an insightful journey for both of us.
All right. Thank you, both of you, for the insights so far into living abroad and how your lives have changed because of that. Now, in order to guide the material of the session, which, if you remember, is about misconceptions about studying abroad, uh, I think I'd like to ask a few questions, just a few guiding questions, and then you guys can expand on those points. So for now, we'd like to ask, many believe that studying abroad will delay graduation, but that's not always the case. Can you maybe explain that?
Okay, maybe I can explain first, and Kina can add up to it. So for ISMA specifically, it guarantees that our graduation won't be delayed because it allows a maximum of 20 credits to be transferred in one semester. So which is a lot, like 20 SKS or 20 credits. So but for other exchange programs that is not handled by the government, they also don't necessarily cause delays because I know from some of my friends that join exchange programs in Singapore and Korea, but they still follow their original graduation timeline. But the only difference is that they might need to do their internship and thesis simultaneously in the eighth semester, which is their last semester. So I think it's a very rare cause that studying abroad will delay the graduation. What about you, Tina?
Okay, so totally agree with Gabby. But I think it kind of depends on each university. So as we're University Putra students, uh, I'm not marketing for UC, but I can really say that UC is really supportive about us going to study abroad, because I know that I've met some friends, some ISMA friends, that gonna they're gonna graduate late because they spend a semester on doing ISMA rather than doing a semester in their home uni. So it really depends on your university. But as for Universitas Ciputra itself, they're really supportive, and they gonna convert what's your journey, let's just say ISMA journey or any exchange journey, not just ISMA, to your semester. So you don't lose a semester because you're doing stay abroad, but got a conversion. So you need to be aware of that, and you don't need to be worried about that at all, because you're not gonna graduate late, you're not gonna lose anything, so you can just focus on your study abroad.
All right. So we hope that those answers help the people who want to graduate on time, who are thinking about their career prospects in the future, and we hope that was insightful for them. Next, we'd like to ask that when you go abroad, a lot of people believe that you can only study a limited amount of majors. And is that true, or how is it in your guys' experience?
Okay, limited amount. Do you mean like we can choose? There's like limited courses that we can choose, or what do you mean by limited amount?
I think so the idea is that a lot of people think that when you go overseas, that, for example, a double degree isn't possible, or that a master's or a doctorate is going to be much more difficult. What is your guys' opinion on that?
Okay. So as for study abroad itself, you can choose so many programs, right? As for me and Gabby, we choose the study abroad program, like the student exchange program. So it's only a semester, and of course the load is gonna be less than, rather than you're doing a double degree or dual degree in other countries. So, but it is not easy still to study in outside of our own country. And I think, but you can choose the universities that's suitable to your capabilities and suitable to your interest too. So you can manage the difficulties. So you can manage your own struggle. You can pick your own struggle. It's not, so it's gonna be manageable. As long as you really know what you're gonna learn in a new country. You really need to know what you want to learn and your own capabilities. So you really need to do a deep research beforehand. How about you, Gabby?
Yeah, thank you, Kina. I believe that without dissing our own country, I still love our own country. But I believe that universities abroad does offer a more wider range of majors that is still not available in Indonesia, but hopefully soon will be available. But there's one system that I really liked in Taiwan's education, which is the add or drop period. So it's a system that in the first 2 weeks of the semester, students can try out as many classes as they want, even it's a class with cross major. It's basically up to you. If you want to attend class like 3 times a day and in every day, it's up to you. So during that period, if you attend a class, if you don't like the class, and if it doesn't meet your expectation, you can simply drop it in the system. And on the other hand, if you want to register in the class but it is full in the system, but you really want to join the class because it's really interesting and really meets your expectation, you can personally ask the professor for an authorization code to enroll it privately in the system. So I think the system is super helpful for the students to explore their interests, especially the cross major interests, because as we know that sometimes when we apply for a major, we still not really sure about it, right? So it gives us a lot of freedom to explore ourselves and to know what are the fields that we want to expert at. So yeah, that's one of the experience that I have in Taiwan.
So we hope that for the very, very ambitious people out there who are looking for multiple degrees, that helps calm your nerves. Next, for the people who are looking for flexibility, a lot of them believe that when you go overseas, you can no longer switch majors. So that's kind of related to what you just answered. What are your thoughts on that? Is that true?
I'm not sure with the switching majors thing because I was there for only 4 months, so I don't really got a knowledge about it. But I heard from one of my Taiwanese friends that uh they choose, for example, they choose this major, A major, but most of the classes that they took was about B major. So it really doesn't depend because in Taiwanese educational system, yeah, like what I've mentioned before, we can choose as many classes as we want. As what's important is that we really interested in the class that we invest our our interest in that class, and that's fine. So I think studying abroad gives a lot of more flexibility depending on the majors that we want to take. Yeah, compared to our university in Indonesia. What about you, Kina?
Okay, I think similar to Gabby, I don't really know the detail about changing major because we are both like a study abroad students, not the full-time students who enrolled for a full-time period of education there. But I think from New Zealand itself, usually when you enroll to a major, you also gotta choose like so let's just say that you choose Bachelor of Business and you also can choose what you're majoring in. So like the specific things that you can learn. So if you in the middle of the your education journey gonna find I think I'm no longer interested in the major. You can change the major, but not the big not the jurusan, not the bachelor itself. I think as long as I know it's like that. But I think yeah, we're both study abroad students for only a semester, so we don't really get to know the full time uh students process for that.
All right, then. So for the people who are looking for flexibility, even if it's unclear whether you can switch majors or not, studying abroad is flexible in other ways. And so hopefully that appeals to you. So next, obviously, when people go abroad, they worry a lot about safety, which makes sense. They're away from home and all that. What is your guys' perspective on that? Is it safer? Is it less safe? Share your experience.
Okay. For safetyness, maybe I can I can tell my experience in New Zealand. I would say that New Zealand is quite a safe country if you compare it to Indonesia, as I live with 14 people of my ISMA friends, and each of us I think have like experiences on proving how safe New Zealand is. For example, my friend, he forgot to put his phone back after like sitting in a park, and when he go back to the park, the phone is still there in the same place. I think things like that, small example like that prove I think New Zealand is quite safe, but not it's not like crime doesn't exist there. It still exists, but relatively more safe than Indonesia. And so you don't really need to worry about leaving your stuff in a public space or walking alone at night. I think it's really, yeah, safe. Um, yeah, I think that's relatively safe. Comparing to Indonesia, and when you I remember also one of my ISMA friend also lost like her bag when she ride a bus, and she got it back like a day after because she contacted the police, she reported, she made a report, and it's really efficient system, and she got it back just after reporting just for one day. And I think that's a really good system. I think it's a really nice place to live because you don't really need to worry about security and things like that. I think that's Auckland, that's New Zealand. But if you go to somewhere, maybe a smaller city or not in the central city, it's gonna be a little bit different. But overall, it's quite safe. So, how about you, Gabby?
Okay, of course, if we're talking about safety, it always depends on the country you choose. So I always recommend for researching and discussing with your parents as well before you determine in which country you want to study at. But speaking from my experience in Taiwan, it's very safe, guys. Even for women that who walks alone at midnight, it's really safe. Though I wouldn't recommend it. But I have this one bad trait, which is leaving my phone everywhere, like even in the public bathrooms, in restaurants, and I even once left my laptop in the classroom. Like it's pretty much insane. So, but uh, seeing that my phone is still with me here, it shows how safe Taiwan is. Even in the university environment, it's really safe. I even once left my phone in the public bathroom for like 15 to 30 minutes. It already gives a lot of wide opportunity for people to take it, right. But I still found it there. Even I believe nobody touched it. So yeah, generally developed countries I think have well maintained safety measures, especially uh the most important is the people. Yeah, I think the people in developed countries have well maintained safety measures and making them a secure places for international students like us. I think that sums up the answer.
Or maybe we can add about the racism. I think when you go abroad, usually topic about racism is also brought up. So maybe for New Zealand itself, for Auckland itself, I think Auckland is relatively safe because Auckland is a student city, so international students all around the world are there, so they're used to seeing foreigners, and it's I think ironically I get more racism approaches here in Indonesia rather than in New Zealand itself. So it's relatively safe because Auckland is student city and they're really open to foreigners. Um so you can easily meet Indonesians there because I think right now New Zealand and also Australia become a destination for a lot of Indonesians to start their new life. So I think that's also a good security reason if you're considering New Zealand or especially Auckland as your country of choice to study abroad. What about you, Gabby?
I think pretty much Taiwan is a pretty much tourist country because yeah, we can see many tourists, even though white people or many Asian countries outside from Taiwan. But even for my hijabi friends, the locals are relatively friendly to them. Even some of the shushu and ayi, like the store clerk, even recommend some dishes that is halal for them, so that the Islami friends know what to eat and what not to eat. So I think it's a really good country to visit because they don't racist as well.
All right, so that about wraps it up for safety. I think the examples both of you gave were very illustrative, very poignant. Just losing things and then you come back and it's still there. That's really unheard of here. So yeah. For our next question, a lot of students obviously have to think about budget when they go abroad, particularly whether they have enough money for the hotel, the plane, transportation, all this stuff. It's very expensive to go abroad for a lot of people. So the next question is studying abroad really only for people with a high budget, or is it something you can accomplish on a limited budget? And furthermore, is there any advice you'd give to students who are like financially struggling and they still want to go abroad?
Maybe I can answer first, then Kena can add up to it. Trust me, guys, studying abroad definitely not only for students with a high with that comes with privilege, but because ISMA didn't cost anything at all. Like even I myself, I saved quite a lot of money from ISMA even until this day. And aside from ISMA, I believe that many countries offer either full or partial scholarships, even include providing your living stipends, like your living allowance monthly. So they don't just pay for your tuition fee, your for your dorm and etc. But they also give you monthly stipend, which is very great. Like we know many people wants to study in Korea, in China. We see that China is flaring up nowadays. We know that many countries offer scholarship like Global Korean Scholarship, GKS, CSC, Chinese scholarship. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, that's like that. And even our countries also offer one like LPDP. So don't lose hope if your parents cannot afford you to study abroad because there are many opportunities that is waiting for you out there. So financial limitations should not stop you from considering this opportunity. What about you, Tina?
Okay. So as for ISMA itself, the program really offers a full scholarship on the study abroad program. But well, maybe ISMA is not gonna be continued this year. Probably we never know. But there are some other opportunities that you can try. As the NNP, as the networking department intern myself, I need to say that you can also always come to NNP or you can talk to us in university to discuss about the opportunities that you can pursue. And you can also come to the iHub at the 15th floor that we have like a table there. So you can always ask about the student exchange opportunities or study abroad opportunities, dual degree, or any international opportunities. And we can also provide you some support about the consultation, about the details, about the money. And yeah, study abroad, of course, gonna cost you some money. But it is really there are wide varieties of programs that you can also choose based on your capabilities. So um I think for the most important is you try to seek the opportunities first and not to worry about the financial burden first, but seek the opportunities first. And you can search the opportunities as I said before. You can ask to NNP, you can come to iHub, you can also I recommend some platforms to see like opportunities for youths in LinkedIn or AP youths in Instagram. You can see there are so many study abroad programs, even the fully funded programs, they exist. So you can try to seek the opportunities, and then you also try to see your financial capabilities to support those programs. And I think for my experience in ISMA, I think the most costly thing that I need to prepare is usually the English test because I use IELTS and it's quite expensive. It's 3 million something, and it's a big money for some of us. And but in ISMA itself, let's just say ISMA, because they don't require you to choose IELTS. There are also other cheaper alternatives that you can choose. So seek the opportunities first, and then you can count your financial capabilities after, and you can also find the opportunities that suit you better. things like that.
All right. So for anyone who wants to go overseas, but maybe you're worried about the financing of it, just remember that especially if you're a UC student, you have options, you have help, and there are parties that can give you some funding, hopefully. You will need some money, obviously, but overall, it's not too big of a struggle if you know the right people and you know where to reach out. So next, talking about social life. A lot of people obviously have a difficult time adapting to environments overseas because they've just left behind their old social circles. So for those people who are worried about not being able to make friends, who think that maybe they'll be alone during their stay abroad, what is some advice you guys have for making friends? And how was your experience in terms of social life studying abroad?
Okay. Uh, my in my experiences, I don't really find it. Okay, I forgot to unmute, sorry. So as for myself, I don't really experience hardships in making friends, but I'm also aware that I'm an ISMA already, so already have some ISMA friends that I socialize like almost every day. But as in international context, so making friends with like the other students internationally, hmm, I must say because Auckland itself is a student city, so they get used to so many foreign students. So it's already a culture to talk and to make friends with foreigners. So it helps you to also make friends with foreigners. So it's not that hard. Uh, I think the tips, um, just start the conversation first because I think for the native New Zealanders, they're not really social. So yeah, as like Gabby said previously, uh we are the one who making the first moves. But when I talk to them, when I talk to the international friends, they also were very welcoming. So I think the tips just yeah, just start the conversation first. Just ask about anything. Usually you gotta meet in classes. So just bring some topics about the class itself, and also you can also ask them to like grab coffee or something to study about the class or something. And I think that small talks eventually gonna lead to something like deeper relationship. Why is it sounds very deep, but yeah, I make friends with some international students, and they even come to the so as ISMA students we usually must make like Indonesian culture event, and I make friends with some international students, and they happily attend the event, and we gotta learn about the culture uh through that event, and it's also tighten our friendship, things like that, because we gotta learn each other's culture. So yeah, I think just start the conversation first, and just yeah, just to make the first moves.
Yeah, I would like to add some to it. So whether will we be alone or not during uh, while we're studying abroad, I might say it depends on ourselves. So if we always feel like, oh, I'm alone, nobody wants to get to know me, uh, nobody wants to hang out with me. If we always like cocooning ourselves in that thoughts, that obviously we will be alone. But if we try to uh, take a step forward, if we try to make the first moves, believe me, guys, the hardest thing to do is the first move. But the next step, trust me, it's not going to be that hard. But if we're too shy with the foreigners and stuff, we can try with fellow Indonesian students or association that we can find like pretty much everywhere. Because I believe that every country has this Indonesian Student Association that we shorten it with ISA, or Perhimpunan Pelajar Indonesia, or PPI. And there you can find friends from Indonesian that I believe they share the same struggle with us. And believe me, if we want to find the way, we will always find the way. So, and plus studying abroad is the perfect chance for us to expand our connections, not just with fellow Indonesians, but also with the locals and other international students. For me personally, I get to know many friends, not only from Taiwan, but also from Germany, from Paraguay, from India, Pakistan, and even from many other countries that I never thought that I can make friends with them. So studying abroad, it's the perfect chance to widen our connections. Even from, where is it? Norway. Yeah, Norway. Yeah.
Right? So for people who are worried that maybe you won't be able to make friends outside, maybe you think that going overseas is some kind of social detriment. Actually, you can see it as a social opportunity. You'll be meeting a lot of people that you otherwise wouldn't be able to if you just reach out and try to meet people, attend events and all that. Now, that's one aspect of adapting overseas, right? Is that you want to be able to make friends. But there's also the cultural aspect that a lot of people are worried about. Because obviously, as a society, Taiwan and New Zealand, very different from Indonesia, I take it. So, what is your experience with that in terms of adapting to like the culture shock?
For me, I think the culture shock is that for us Indonesians, when we introduce ourselves, like it's really normal to offer a handshake, right? But the things that happen to me is that whenever I make the first move to introduce ourselves, like, "Hi, I'm Gabby, I'm from Indonesia. What's your name?" Like, they often left my hands hanging. So, and then I awkwardly like put my hands back. So, I think that's one of the culture shock that I faced when I'm in Taiwan, is that people there like really really value their private space, like personal space. Like if they don't know you enough, they don't they almost don't want to get and get any physical touch with you. So that's one of the culture shock that I faced. And the other thing is that in Taiwan, everything is really fast and convenient, even as simple as paying for the things that we bought in the convenience store. In Taiwan, I used fully cash, so I don't use like online payment because I was there for only for a month, so I don't see why should I open one. So I used cash, and the clerk is just moves so fast is that for me to count my cash, for me to take out my purse from my bag, it's like I was like panicking. Thank you. I was like, boys. I feel bad for them for waiting for me. So that's one of the reason why I'm quite shocked, because in Indonesia we just always like, sebentar ya Mbak, wait a minute Mbak. But there you cannot, guys. Yeah. What about you, Kina?
Okay. As for New Zealand, mm, they have this term called manakitanga. So it's similar to what Indonesian know as ramah tamah. So they share similar value on that. Maybe that's also why they're so friendly with foreigners, because they have that manakitanga value. So as for social life, I don't really experience a culture shock, but wait, I forgot. Usually in classes, or in when you talk to your friends, or when you're hanging out with your friends, it's just our habit, most Asians habit, most Indonesians, I guess, just to like randomly checking our phones, like scrolling to social media or something like it. It's just not our intention to like really look something. It's just like our habit. And I found it really weird that usually Indonesians were the only people that do that in most contexts. So I would say it's it's a different culture in like using your phone or using your gadget in general, because let's just say that New Zealand's really mindful and not really addicted, like not really attached to the gadgets, something like that. And also about hmm, culture shock. Oh, I think the culture shock that I truly remember about Auckland, New Zealand, is most shops or coffee shops, they close at like 3 or 4 p.m. Not like in Indonesia, you can find like the 24 hours cafe to work late at night. But in Auckland, you cannot find that because they really value like work-life balance. And I think the money doesn't worth the hassle. And so it's really hard to find a store that opens until night. Even most supermarkets close at like what, 8? And so if you really crave like midnight snacks, things like that, you need to find a store that's run by Asians, because I think it's just Asians' culture to like snack at midnight or something like that. Yeah, I think a small culture shock like that. Other culture shock maybe mm, in socialize, yeah, the party culture, it exists. Uh, the relationship, the casual relationship. If you live in a dorm, you gotta know how free it is compared to Indonesia. But I think it's not really gonna be a problem. Just eventually you'll get it. And if you really love the country, if you really know what you're learning there, I think it's not gonna be a really big problem for you to live.
Yeah, so I suppose we can learn from that. That culture shock is really roll with the punches kind of thing, you know? Just it's something you discover along the way, and hopefully you can adapt well. Now, our next question relates to majors. Do you think that going abroad to study perhaps is useful for some majors but not others? Or do you think there are certain majors that benefit more from studying abroad than other majors? What are your thoughts?
Okay, maybe I can answer first, or I forgot. So, uh, I'm from psychology. I forgot to tell you in the introduction, but I'm a psychology student here in UC. So if you're also a psychology student, you need to make sure what your career path is. Because as if you want to be a psychologist, that you open like a consultation in Indonesia, so you work as a psychologist, professionally working as a psychologist, uh you need to make sure that you got we call it profesi ya, sertifikasi profesi is from Indonesia. So you cannot learn psychology somewhere else in the world and then you expect to be a psychologist in Indonesia. I think it's possible, but it's gonna be much harder, and you probably need to uh take some education, like redo your education, because our system in Indonesia is quite different. So if you want to be a psychologist and practicing in Indonesia, it's gonna be better if you have a linear education in psychology and you got it from Indonesia. So come back to the question. I think if you're it gonna depends on what your future career path is. If you don't mind, if you don't want to be a psychologist, let's just say you want to be a researcher, it's fine to study from anywhere. So it's gonna be even more beneficial if you study abroad because you can have more knowledge about your research, things like that. So you need to really know what you're gonna do. So and you compare it to Indonesia's regulation about your maybe career path. So you can make a right decision for your education and your career. How about you, Gabby?
Okay, from me, it's just a short one. It is definitely beneficial for all majors. Like there's no majors that is not beneficial to study abroad. But however, it's important to research which countries that excel in your field. For example, if you're into business, then countries like China is a great option. For another example, if you're passionate in culinary arts, then you can consider France or Italy. And yeah, but you can still learn about culinary arts business in many other countries, but I think it's best to learn it in the countries that excel in it. So for me, choosing the right destination uh, will enhance your academic and career growth.
Right. So in the end, it comes down to choosing what's right for you, whether that's your career path, whether you're thinking about what countries are better for your major. Every major can benefit from going abroad, it seems. Now, for our next question, living abroad obviously comes with difficulties. How has that influenced your adaptability, your flexibility, and your problem solving?
Obviously, studying abroad definitely improves our adaptability, especially if we're used to having our parents or housemates that has been taking care of our needs. And then suddenly when we go abroad by ourselves, we need to take care of basically everything for ourselves, right? And for example, as simple as doing laundry and figuring out what to eat, like every day, 3 times a day, and even to more important stuff like budgeting our expenses to make sure that we still have allowance left until the next month. Yeah. It's really a great opportunity to like improve ourselves because uh, studying abroad means also stepping out of our comfort zone. So if you think that studying abroad, it's just all of us having fun, uh, only traveling or to got only have the international exposure, yeah, that's true. But there's this another side that we must fight for ourselves. Yeah, I think that's studying abroad is a really great opportunity for us to improve ourselves. What about you, Kina?
Totally agree. Because when you do study abroad, um, adaptability is the most important skill that you need to have. Yeah, things like simple things like doing house chores. It looks really simple, and we take it for granted here. Maybe we're still living with our parents, or we still have housemates or something like that. We really take it for granted. Uh, and I truly realized that when I got to study abroad because that's the first time I learned how to cook. That's the first time I learned how to wash a stain on your clothes, things like that. That's so many first times in life that you experience through study abroad. So it's really yeah, eye-opening, things like that, small things like that, how we take things for granted. And yeah, it really boosts your adaptability. And as for problem solving, yeah, when we live alone, we need to solve so many things alone. Maybe we're not really alone, but technically we're far from our home country. It really makes us and it really makes things harder. I think for problem solving, yeah, people usually say that study abroad itu belajar hidup, quote unquote, learning how to live. And it's truly true because you got, well, quote unquote, nobody else to save you but yourself. And you really gonna learn the problem solving, even there's some trivial things that face day to day, or even bigger things like, oh. So I think I can tell a little bit that when I am in my study abroad program, there's like some problem about the financial support. And let's just say it's late and it's become a really big problem because, well, you live somewhere in the world and you of course need money to live there. And take when you face heavy things like that, it's important to like take some time to think about what you can do and take potential support that you can get, and even your own university like UC itself. So at that time I end up asking UC to help me and things like that, and problem solved. So it's really gonna boost your problem solving skills too, but we also remember uh you also need to know people that you can ask for help.
All right, so it appears that going abroad teaches you a lot in terms of how to deal with daily problems and all that. Now, for our next question, and this will probably be our last. What advice would you give to students considering studying abroad in terms of personal growth and career development? So, how's that going to look on their CV? And what are they going to learn other than daily problem solving and whatnot?
Yeah, okay. So study abroad experience of course gonna really enhance your CV or your overall experiences. Um I think it's gonna be really beneficial if you gonna maybe enter a professional context, like maybe working somewhere else or starting a project or something like that. It's really gonna be beneficial because people gonna see you as someone, oh, she or he already study abroad, so of course she went through some several selection process to be able to study abroad. So it really gives value about your capability, mostly academic capability. um I think it's really going to be beneficial too if what you're learning at this study abroad program is linear with your interest. So as for myself, I choose courses like journalism or social justice related courses, and it really helps me to build my personal branding as someone who is interested in research and also journalism. So it really gonna depends on what you're doing and what you're learning too on your study but program, but overall it's gonna make you a standout candidate when you apply somewhere else. How about you, Gabby?
Okay, first advice that I would like to give to students that is considering studying abroad is that first thing you need to do is breaking your stigmas or stereotypes or even mindsets that studying abroad is not for me because it's just too complicated, the paperwork and administrative steps and etc. And that makes you kind of lazy to study abroad. Yeah, advice that I would like to say is that break those stigmas because believe me guys, it's not as hard as you think and it's not as complicated as it seems. And the most important thing that I have mentioned earlier is that to take the first step, because yeah, that's the hardest part. It's always taking the first step, because as we know, studying abroad does requires us a lot of preparation, from the paperwork, or even preparing for visas, looking for the dormitory and something like that. Yes, it does require us a lot of work, but trust me, it's worth it. With the opportunity and with the experience that you will gain from studying abroad, it's way more worth to do those paperwork. And that's not even complicated as you see, because uh yeah, yeah, like again, it's worth it. And you can start by starting to research which universities that you want to attend to. If it's too wide, then you can start researching on the fields, on which country that expert in your fields. And then you can start looking at the universities that is known for that, and then prepare the for an English proficiency test. And once you take those steps, then you will know what to do and what to take in the next, and it will be naturally flow. And the final quote blessed by this quote is that that dream was planted in your heart for a reason, but the outcome depends on you. So if sometimes you feel like I want to go study abroad, but there's the things that limit you, there's the things that hinder you to do it. It depends on you. Do you want to fight for it, or you just want to go with the flow and just enjoy your life? And you can even think that it's okay, I'm fine with Indonesia. I'm fine with living here for the rest of my life. Yeah, that's up to you. But if you have the opportunity to study abroad, meaning not living in Indonesia, obviously we will still come back to Indonesia, then take that opportunity and fight for it, because you don't know what's waiting for you ahead. Yeah, that's my advice for the students. Thank you.
All right. So I believe that, to sum it up, it really comes down to your belief in your ability to succeed. And if you do succeed, it'll probably open up a lot of opportunities for the students here who are looking to go international. Now, that does conclude our material session, our chit chat, that is. Thank you so much, both of you, for delivering some fantastic answers to those guiding questions. We hope that the students found them very insightful and helpful for their international journey. And now that our material has concluded, everyone, guess what time it is? That's right, we're opening up our question and answer session. So feel free to leave your questions in the chat, or just raise your hand and then you can speak into the mic. Anyone feeling like askers? All right, so we've already received one question in chat right away from Stephen. Let me just read it out. So, in terms of studying abroad, I'm a student from BMI. Currently, I'm struggling with a lot of committees and I'm feeling burnt out. So, related to that, how is work-life balance overseas? Is it more difficult to maintain or easier, perhaps? Maybe one of you could give some insights into that.
Okay. Work-life balance. I think it's gonna be affected by your country and environment. In your chosen country, um, if you choose somewhere that's quite laid back, it really gonna make it easier to have a work-life balance. But if you choose countries or host universities that's quite fast paced, of course the burden's gonna be higher and harder. But I think if you study abroad, you're gonna see it as a one time and once in a lifetime opportunity, and you're gonna try to enjoy it as much as you can, because everything you see it's gonna be a new thing. So it's gonna make your burden easier to face. So I think it's still worth it because you're still doing something new. And well, you're in another country, not in it anymore. So it's gonna be easier, I guess.
All right,
How
Gabby,
about
do you
you,
want to
Gabby?
give any insight into that?
So sorry, guys. My connection just got lost. Can you repeat the question? I didn't hear it.
So it was quite a long question. I'll boil it down. Is work-life balance easier or more difficult overseas?
Mm, overseas. I would say it is harder in Taiwan because most of students, like full-time students there, they they did a part-time job because the part-time job there offers a huge salary. Most of them even pay their own tuition fee with their salary from their part-time job. So it's really harder. Yeah, yeah, it's harder overseas, I might say. But it also depends on what else we're doing in our home university. Yeah, but pretty much it's harder.
Yeah, so it boils down to having to deal with a lot, contend a lot more in terms of education. So, Stephen, we hope that answers your question. Um, any other askers? So we have a few people asking here when the survey will be. It will come after the UCIC talk here, yeah? So you can fill that in GIS later on. Uh, all right, we've got another question coming in from chat. I'll just read it out for you guys from Nathan. So Nathan asks, hold on. So this is a very creative question, by the way. If you could go back to before you went overseas, what's one piece of advice you would tell yourself?
Maybe I can start because I have an immediate answer. For
All
me
right.
personally, it's to study your Chinese seriously because I do have some basic Chinese, but it's not enough for me to live in Taiwan comfortably. For example, uh, I know that chopsticks is quite in Chinese, but when I need to say it in real time, that vocab, that word is just lost. So at the end of the day, I use the sign language, which is this, but the clerk mistaken me by uh, a Caesar. So I needed chopstick to eat, but he gave me scissors. So that's why at the end of the day, I do some more sign language is that like this. And then he was like, quite good. And then from then on, I remember quite for, I think for the rest of my life. So especially if we plan to go study abroad in a non-English speaking country, study it, guys, learn it seriously because it will help you like yeah, it will help you big time when you're there. And don't take it for granted your time in Indonesia. Do prepare it so that when you're there, so that when you're already in the country that you studying at, you can focus on other things rather than language barrier. It's a big thing. What about you, Tina?
It's a really philosophical question. One piece of advice that I will give to myself before I do the study abroad? It kind of sounds really cliche, but maybe I just try because I tried ISMA on my third year of college. So most of my friends tried on the second year, so on the fifth semester, but I do the study abroad on my seventh semester. The reason that I didn't try earlier because I was really afraid and I think I wasn't ready to do it. Maybe some parts of that are true, but I think if I try and I'm already into it, I can map what I need to do, what are the things that I can do to develop myself even more, rather than just choosing not doing it at all. So I think yeah, just try and you can manage after that.
All right, some very insightful answers. And yeah, that was quite a philosophical question. We hope that you guys gathered some insight from that. Maybe that's some advice you will give yourself later on once you go abroad. Now we're opening our Q&A for the last question. So any takers maybe? All right, so last question, yeah. I've got one in chat from, who is this? Christian. So Christian asks, in terms of, I'm going to try to boil this down for you guys because he typed a lot. But it basically comes down to, is there anything that people should expect when they go overseas that maybe they're not going to think of while they're here? Maybe Keisha can start?
Things that you cannot predict and
Mhm.
you gotta find it on when you study overseas. Probably back to the daily life struggles, as simple as like daily chores or house chores that and also realizing that you are now in a foreign country, which uh it's kind of harder because you're not fully familiar on the new country itself. So as much as you do research about it, you need to do research about it. It's still a new environment for you, so you need to experience uh the daily chores or any challenges that well you truly need to face. So I think you just need to be adaptable, like we already talked about it before, and just remember the goal that you want to get on your study abroad process.
For me, I think it's more towards you wouldn't expect to meet the people that you will meet there. Because personally, my friends that I made during my 4 months in Taiwan, I think uh I make more friends with the international students rather than with the locals, which is I didn't expect that at all because our expectation is obviously when we go to certain countries, then obviously we will most of most of the friends that we make is the locals from that countries, right? But what happened to me is the vice versa. I made most of my friends that I made is from international students, not the locals. And the expectation that I had to the locals is that they're all will be like friendly because of with us with the same looking Asian people, like they would be, oh, okay, you're from Indonesia. Oh, how nice. But that's not the case for me because yeah, some of the locals, most of the locals were distant, but for the international students that I met from Hungary, Germany, Norway, and etc., they're all way more friendlier. That's why I spent most of my time with them rather than with the locals. So I think yeah, same goes with Kana. Like it's not the like it's not a big thing that will go unexpected, but it's the small things like the daily tasks and daily challenges that will get you like, wow, I didn't expect this. Just prepare for it. But don't worry, you will get through it because yeah, we can do it, guys. Smart.
All right. Those were some very insightful answers. Hopefully that gives you guys, like the students here that are participating, hopefully that gives you ideas on maybe what you should expect that you might not have thought of before, things that you might want to be able to predict, but you might have forgotten about. Now, unfortunately, that was the last question for this question and answer session. Thank you so much, everyone, for all the questions, for being active. And thank you to both Kasia and Gabriella for the great answers. If any of you have more queries, remember that you can always visit the International Hub, you can always visit NNP, and you can always contact us at UCIC when it comes to going abroad. But before all of you leave, we'd like to have a small photo session. So everyone, please open your cameras and IT, you can take over the mic for now.
Okay, so everyone, let's take a picture together. Okay, if you guys can open the camera, please do so. Right.
Ada kok di ini, Vin.
Okay, so from the first slide, 3, 2, 1. Okay, second slide, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that's all.
All right, thank you, IT. Now, before all of you go, we would please like to remind you to fill in the survey in CHIS for this UCIC talk to receive your international office KP. And this has been Prism's last talk show. I'm Matrix, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Okay, thank you.